A new format. It was announced over the holidays. In fact, we got news on Christmas Eve and on New Year's Eve. Maybe not the best days to make announcements, unless you want them to sort of fly under the radar, I would guess. That's why people announce things on Fridays, for example. But with the joy of the internet, of course, we obviously know the news that it's going to a tournament format, which actually makes a lot of people happy. Call of Duty community seems to be embracing this change regarding the Call of Duty League. There will be less events. There will still be traveling. This will begin with week number 2 in London. In fact, here's a quote from Joanna Ferries, who is the commissioner of the Call of Duty League, in an interview to Sports Illustrated. Quote, "We could sense that tournaments were on a lot of people's wish lists within our community, so we and our teams worked hard to create a fresh new take on a beloved format that we all feel will make the competition even more exciting going into the 2020 season. It took some effort, but it's been nice to be able to gift the news to our fans around the holidays. We can't wait to get started in January." Jacob, will this succeed?
I think it's definitely for the better, right? I think one of the biggest problems that didn't exist in the Overwatch League as much, it existed a little bit, that has existed in the Call of Duty League is that there is a long storied history of what a Call of Duty year looks like, calendar year for esports looks like. It felt like the rubber band is swinging way too far the opposite direction, and that the Call of Duty community was really upset about that, about the original format that was supposed to be announced. But also, I heard a lot of concerns from particularly teams that have both Overwatch and Call of Duty. I saw Adam Stern of Sports Business Journal say this as well, so I'm assuming he's hearing the same things, that there are a lot of people that were afraid of hosting both Overwatch and Call of Duty in the given year, and both the human resources it takes to get that done and the financial resources that it takes to get that done at the volume that was originally requested of those teams. Places like Seattle and Miami and Paris and some of these others, right, where multi-team ownership is a thing across these two leagues. I do think from the Call of Duty alone perspective, though, I think that this is a really good change because it's kind of more of a nod to the history of Call of Duty, and less so we are a big franchise league ran by sports people, welcome us and praise us, which is kind of what the Overwatch League's been. So I think this is a little bit better. This plays a little bit more to the history of Call of Duty than rather just being imperial.
Emily, what about the game itself? I mean, there is a renewed conversation. This is not a new challenge, but a renewed conversation about slide canceling, for example. Aches was leading that conversation on Twitter as an example there. But just the game itself and the state of the game, is it ready for esports?
No. I'm probably going to get a lot of crap for this. Maybe I won't. We'll see. The biggest problem for me with the Call of Duty League coming up in general is the game itself, actually. It has a lot of problems, from maps to the slide canceling technique that you just mentioned, which again is not new, but it is particularly egregious in this latest version of COD in the Modern Warfare that was just released. So it is back on the menu in terms of discussion topics. I think maybe instead of pro players sniping at each other, they should be getting mad at Infinity Ward about many things about this version of the game. Particularly that this is, if you're going to release a game that you're going to be designing this giant esports league around that has such a storied history like Call of Duty. I know that this has been a problem across Call of Duty esports for a while, and that you have this one game that comes out every year, everything changes. From a meta perspective, that's always been a problem, but sometimes there are just inherent problems with the game itself that can't be fixed, and the fact that this Modern Warfare title is going to be the title that they're releasing this brand new league around is incredibly concerning to me due to a lot of bugs with this game. Have either of you played it? Because there's a lot of issues.
Yeah, I've played nearly.
Have you played it? Okay.
I've played nearly a day's worth.
Jacob knows what I'm talking about.
Not like for one day, but rather 24 hours.
Yeah, okay.
I am like at the.
I haven't played that much, but I have played it.
Yeah, and as someone who once upon a time was very good at Call of Duty from a competitive perspective as a teenager in Modern Warfare 2 and in Call of Duty Black Ops, I find this game. I understand like the nostalgia factor because it's definitely a Modern Warfare title. It feels in some ways like COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2, both which were sort of similar in a lot of ways, besides just maps. I'm talking about from a gameplay perspective. But here's the thing is like, this has been an ongoing issue. That's something Ake said, is that this has existed since Infinite Warfare, and now people are just bringing it up. Good time to bring it up, by the way, 2 weeks before the league starts. But okay. Anywho, I think that
He also mentioned, though, that this is one of those challenges that, like, just kept being swept under the rug and not really exposed.
But that's part of the problem with the Call of Duty cycle, though, from a game perspective, is that this title every year bounces back between two developers, right? Like Black Ops 4 was Sledgehammer and Treyarch, and now Modern Warfare is Infinity Ward. These are two development houses who both are a part of Activision, and so they share the IP, and I'm sure there's some code shared as well. You don't want to like drastically change everything, but that's part of the problem, is that these two games are developed by different people, and there's very little overlap between the two. This has always been the case, whether it be COD 4, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, right? Even in the early cycles when I was playing, like, for hundreds of hours at any given time. This has always been a problem, is that every game feels different. Every game feels different. And, you know, they said a year and a half ago, they said that when they announced Black Ops 4, this is a Call of Duty that we hope that lasts. I took that as maybe this is the one they should franchise, is Black Ops 4, and they should just do what everybody else does and just update the game every couple of weeks continuously and invest in one. But they haven't, because Activision likes to make money. And so therefore they're putting out a new game every single year. It's one of the highest selling games overall in the entire world.
Yes.
But it has come with a lot of these other issues from an esports perspective, because things change every single year.